In late January 2026, Xi Jinping moved to remove two of the most powerful figures in China's military, Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli. The key question is what is really happening inside the Central Military Commission and what scenarios could unfold for China's military in the period ahead. China's military enters a heightened state of alert. The decision by China's leadership, under Xi Jinping, to investigate and discipline Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, and CMC member Liu Zhenli, has sent shockwaves through the Chinese military. From late 2025 to early 2026, multiple signs suggested that the security and political atmosphere within China's armed forces had become unusually sensitive. According to observations from state media, for several consecutive months, Xi Jinping did not undertake any overseas trips or domestic inspection tours. Some analysts argue that, with the full extent of Zhang Youxia's influence network within the military still unclear, the Chinese leadership has adopted an especially cautious posture amid concerns over potential internal instability. According to Xinhua News Agency, on February 10, 2026, Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, conducted an online inspection of the Armed Forces Combat Readiness Duty operations from the Baiyi Building in Beijing. CMC Vice Chairman Zhang Shengmin attended the event. In his directive to the armed forces, Xi stated, "The entire military must strengthen combat readiness duties, maintain alert status in accordance with the regulations, and respond promptly and effectively to any sudden contingencies." Notably, the phrase maintain an alert status was emphasized ahead of the Lunar New Year, wording that has rarely appeared in similar messages in previous years. The handling of Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli. Shockwaves and growing concerns over internal instability. After Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli were absent from several major political and military events in January 2026, speculation that the two generals were under investigation quickly spread on social media and among observers. By late January, the Chinese authorities officially announced that both senior officers had been placed under disciplinary action. According to several unofficial sources and analyses, the removal of two figures at the very top of the military hierarchy has had a clear psychological impact within the armed forces. Some officers were reportedly restricted from taking leave, had their movements limited, and were instructed to remain on standby at their units. The military's command system, propaganda apparatus, and political messaging channels are also believed to have been tightened more than usual. Some observers argue that China's leadership is particularly concerned about possible chain reactions within the military, given that Zhang Youxia had previously built an extensive network of influence inside the armed forces. According to reports that have not been independently verified, central disciplinary authorities have increased the number of personnel working directly with the military's discipline system, and a large-scale personnel review targeting senior officers may be underway. However, so far, the Chinese side has released no official figures regarding the scope of the investigation or the number of officers involved. Some former officials and overseas sources further claim that the military has been placed on a higher state of readiness, that personal communications have been restricted, and that units have been instructed to remain at their current locations. These assessments reflect growing concern over the risk of internal instability, but they cannot yet be confirmed by official sources. Notably, since the disciplinary actions against the two senior generals were made public, China's state media have largely refrained from publishing the customary collective statements by theater commands or service branches expressing their firm support for the party's central leadership's decisions. This has, in turn, raised further questions about the real atmosphere inside the military's command structure. What lies ahead for China's military? According to an analysis by scholar Yi Zang, published in the Diplomat, several notable scenarios could unfold in the near future. First, investigations are likely to continue expanding, targeting associates and networks linked to Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli at both senior and mid-level ranks, even though most of these actions may not be made public. Second, China's military leadership may remain in a prolonged state of instability throughout 2026, as internal rivalries and mutual distrust continue to erode cohesion within the senior command. According to Yi Zang, the growing uncertainty and accumulated resentment among senior generals could place increasing strain on the military's ability to function effectively as a governing and command structure. Third, the collective decision-making role of the Central Military Commission is widely believed to be weakening significantly. With several key leadership posts still vacant, the current command mechanism is increasingly seen as less effective than in the past. Observers argue that the shrinking number of top-level leaders could directly affect the military's ability to coordinate and conduct operations across the force as a whole. Fourth, a major unresolved question remains whether Xi Jinping will soon appoint replacements for Zhang Youxia and Liu Zhenli, or instead leave these senior positions vacant for an extended period, as Beijing has done after previous purge cycles. Regardless of which scenario unfolds, analysts broadly agree that the simultaneous removal of multiple senior generals has already undermined organizational stability and weakened the short-term governance and command capacity of China's military. What is unfolding suggests that China's military is entering a rare period of instability, as internal trust, command mechanisms, and the leadership structure are all coming under significant strain. The key question that remains is whether Beijing will be able to stabilize the military leadership in the near future, or whether the purge campaign is far from over. Follow Global Military Update for more in-depth analysis of regional security and military developments.